Your health depends on how you answer the question, how loved and supported do I feel in my life right now? And that tells us more about your health 20 years down the road than any other factor. The truth of the matter is, we have to start changing the systems. We have to start changing the structures. And one of the most important systems and structures that we can start to change is in the workplace. Because the workplace is where we spend the bulk of our time. And so if we are feeling lonely in the workplace, if we are not feeling supported in the workplace, there is nothing we can do by walking home and getting home and being and recovering from that in the few hours we have every evening off the hamster wheel and the few hours on the weekends that we have when we're not doing chores, kids, exercise, family obligations, and all the other stuff. The workplace is where we have to solve this. And then, of course, this one is if you have a best friend at work, and unfortunately, not enough of us do, the research is showing. But if you have somebody at work that you would actually call a best friend, you are 7 times more engaged in your job. What company would not want you to have a best friend at work if they saw those numbers? We are better at engaging customers. We produce higher quality of work. We experience higher personal well-being. We're less likely to be injured on the job. I was brought into a construction firm company to talk about this, and I was 500 men in the audience, all construction workers and engineers, and the president said, I want less injuries on the job, and I read that this is the thing that makes the biggest difference. And so talk about visionary leadership, saying, let's look at this. We call in sick less when it's our friend that was going to be having to take our place at work, when it's affecting them. Having friendships at work matters so much. Relationships. Most of us, our loneliness is not coming because we don't know enough people. Most of us, our loneliness is coming because we don't feel known by a few. For most of us, it is not a matter that we need to go networking more. For most of us, it's that we don't know if the net we've built is supporting us. We want to make sure we're building that net. And so what I want to do today is talk about how to do this, how to build greater relationships in our life. And we're going to do this where you think about it for your own life, but also as we do, I go into companies and talk about this just from a teamwork perspective or a team culture perspective. And so we can touch on some of that, what you can do in the workplace too. Loneliness, this is one of the big studies that was done by Brigham Young University. They took 148 studies, longitudinal studies, and they have found and concluded that if you feel lonely and don't do something about it, it is the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Twice as harmful as being obese. It does the same damage on your body as being a lifelong alcoholic, and it's worse than not exercising. By definition, a friendship has to have these 3 things. And I'm going to teach how to do these 3 things in what I call the Friendtimacy formula. And so if we can take these 3 things and say, by definition, if we then know that these are the 3 things that build healthy relationships across the board, then we don't have to leave this up to just be like, well, I hope we like each other, and just kind of be like, well, I'll just tell a few funny jokes and we'll be friends. Or we don't have to just like hope that we're friends. Like, this is our definition that I can guarantee you have never built a friendship in your life that feels good without having done these 3 things. You may not have known them, but you did it intuitively. You'll be able to look back on every relationship in your life and say, oh yeah, that's why it's working. And conversely, any relationship in your life that does not feel good, it is because at least one of these 3 things is in lack. This goes with your colleagues, your boss, your husbands, your wives, your not yet husbands and wives, your kids. Any relationship in your life, we can look at these 3 things and assess the health of this relationship. I can look at the 3 things on paper and actually be able to determine the closeness you have of a relationship based upon these 3 things to that.